In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Kicking Horse Mountain Bike Park. Like most resorts with a bike park, it operates as a ski hill during the winter. But that's not to say the mountain bike trails are bad or anything, because it's actually quite the opposite. But without further ado, let's actually talk about the trails. So there are essentially two ways to get up the mountain to access the trails, one of them being the gondola. That'll take you to the peak of the mountain, and from there it'll be about an hour to get down, and the second one being the chairlift. This will take you a little under halfway up the mountain and should only take about 30 minutes to go down, and it's also the first way we'll be talking about. So since it only goes up a portion of the mountain, you're only going to be able to access a portion of the trails, but that's not to say you should skip out on the chairlift and just go up the gondola, because there's some great trails here, and since it's a shorter time to actually go up, you'll be able to ride your favorite trails over and over again, which definitely appeals to some people. Plus, I definitely say the skill level is overall a little bit lower here than on the gondola, so if you're just starting out or you want an easier experience, definitely give the chairlift a try. But now let's talk about one of the trails that I rode quite a few times called the Superberm. The Superberm is a fairly long trail with many jumps and berms, very twisty and very fun to ride down, so if that's up your alley, I highly recommend it. It's not too difficult, and pretty much every single jump you're able to ride over or ride around, so you don't have to worry about that. And part of what makes this trail so good is the ability for any rider to have fun on this. Even if you're very experienced, I can guarantee you'll have some fun on this, because you'll be able to really whip down this, and there's honestly some difficult jumps. And on the other side of things, you'll still be able to have fun on this even if you are a less experienced rider, because like I said, everything here is going to be avoidable. If you don't think you can ride it, you can always ride around it or just over top of it slowly, and some of the berms are going to be really fun. My sisters, which are both fairly inexperienced, were just fine going down this, so you don't have to worry about that. And the other great thing that might be appealing to a lot of you guys is that it's a single trail. You don't have to worry about finding trailheads and stuff, just the one trailhead at the top, and it'll lead you all the way back down to the day lodge. But now let's talk about a trail that's not only a crown jewel of the Kicking Horse Bike Park, but is also one of the most well-constructed, beautiful, and straight-up cool trails I've ever seen, called the LYM. So obviously this is quite a difficult trail. It's a black diamond, and if you're anywhere near a beginner, do not go even close to this place, because it is very easy to hurt yourself. And I actually ended up doing this trail completely alone, which I don't recommend doing at all, because when you're alone, it quite literally becomes a do or die scenario, which I have to admit did add to the experience, but still, don't do it, okay? Don't go alone, go with your friends, it'll be better, because this trail is difficult. And not only difficult because of the skinny bridges 10 feet up in the trees, but also because of some pretty hard rocky descents. But difficulty aside, this is one of the most amazing trails I've ever seen in my entire life, and if you're going to Kicking Horse, this is pretty much a must-do. And the end of LYM will lead you onto a trail called Easy Rider, which, as the name suggests, is a fairly easy trail, still very fun, but if you keep going down Easy Rider, you can hop on a trail called Buffalo Jump, which is arguably the most iconic trail in Kicking Horse due to a truly amazing and scenic berm.
Oh yeah!
Which, as you can tell, I quite fancy too. I mean, it's a different experience to be able to go over top of a berm and then pass under what you were doing. And of course, there's the risk factor of falling down. And then just on top of that, it's the beautiful scenery of the mountains and the gondola. It's a really cool berm and definitely something you should try out if you're able to do it. But anyway, let's talk about the second half of the Kicking Horse Bike Park, which is where the gondola will take you. And this was actually my first time ever being on a gondola, so that was an experience in and of itself. But what was also so special about this gondola was that it went over the bear enclosure, and my dad and I were really fortunate to have a really up close and personal time with the bear himself. So we took a photo, actually, as you can see here. You're going to want to zoom in a little bit, and a little bit more, even a bit more, and one more time. So, as you can see, we did see the bear. Maybe not up close and personal, but I mean, hey, we saw him. But anyway, let's actually talk about the gondola ride itself, which is no surprise, absolutely breathtaking. I mean, you're getting put to the peak of a mountain, so what do you expect? And I mean, there's a lot of people who will come up here without a bike or anything just to hike along the ridge, which I can totally understand, because these views are just so amazing that I don't think there's anything that could ruin them.
I gotta take a piddle somewhere.
There's no piddling here.
Well, I guess everything can be ruined. But once you're actually done looking around and taking in the scenery, you can hop on your bike and head down the peak of the mountain, where to your right you'll see a plethora of many different ways to get down this little area. And all these trails are fairly similar, just winding down this open area to get to where you'll actually start descending quite a bit. But there is one trail that definitely sticks out called the Rock Garden. The Rock Garden is essentially a trail where there's many different ways to get from point A to point B, with many different log bridges going from rock to rock and varying difficulty on each log bridge. But for some people this might not be such a blast, such as my dad, who kind of hates log bridges, and it's not hard to hurt yourself here because you'll fall off and hit a rock. But for people that do like log bridges, such as myself, it's absolutely amazing and honestly a one-of-a-kind trail. And from then on, you'll kind of hop on some different trails to make your way down the mountain to where you'll actually really start descending. There's some fun stuff here, such as this little jump. But here's where our trip becomes a little bit special, and honestly, it's probably my favorite mountain biking experience of my entire life.
We're above the clouds.
On our final descent of the day, we realized that we were kind of going down into a layer of clouds and really didn't think much of it until we actually came into the clouds and realized how cool of an experience this really would be.
Just go to the right. Oh man, is that cool.
Now from seeing this video, you can probably tell why this was such a cool experience, but that's just seeing and looking at this. It's cool to look at, but riding in it was a whole different story. I mean, first off, there are definitely some negatives of having the fog. I mean, everything is wet, including the wood, which my dad did wipe out on and break a brand new dropper post. But who am I kidding? There's really no negative to this. It was actually amazing riding down a trail you've never known before in the mountains with everything whited out. All there is to focus on is you and riding your bike. And honestly, when I was on my way down, I couldn't tell the difference between my legs and my bike. Honestly, the only thing on my mind was riding, and that was all right with me. But anyway guys, that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This biking trip is truly the most amazing trip I've ever been on in my life. Just with the cloud rolling in and riding on the peak of a mountain. These are things I've never done before and they really blew me away. But also one thing I forgot to mention is kudos to Jada for actually going down this side of the mountain, going all the way to the gondola. I mean, she wasn't that experienced of a rider and yet she made her whole way down with only one little minor wipeout. So that was actually pretty impressive and I know she had a whale of a time too.
Have fun.
Anyway guys, that is the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching and thank you for liking and subscribing. As you can see here, a very small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. So if you didn't mind clicking that subscribe button, it would certainly mean a lot and it definitely helps. But anyway, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one.